Hello. Welcome to my podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Chekere technique that's specific to Onkos. So, a lot of you have played Chekere with me before, but there's a couple things that are perhaps a little different when it comes to playing Chekere for Onkos specifically. So this is like the basics, the basics of the instrument, let's say. And so we have a lot of different types of gourds. There's this type of gourd, long, big. We got ones that are more round. This is a big one. There's ones like this that are they're very handy. It's kind of like the perfect medium size. And then these kind of little guys. These are sometimes even the hardest to play because they're so little. There's not that much to hold on to. So I'm going to show some techniques. They're applicable to all of the gourds, but you kind of have to adapt them depending on which one you're holding because obviously there's physical differences. So I'm going to demonstrate on this big long one just because I think it'll make the showing the techniques is perhaps a little bit more obvious. So there's the basic two tones that you're dealing with are the beads and the tone of the gourd. And so I'm going to start with the beads because that's perhaps a little bit more difficult. So a lot of people make the mistake of playing sort of, I guess, let's say playing only one way, like, or like, I don't know, but there's, I kind of think of it, the way I imagine it is that there's three kind of modes of shaking the beads. There is the up and down motion, like this. There is a side to side motion, like this. And there is a bit of a forward and back motion as well. And so playing this, you really have to incorporate all three of those motions, or else you will have a really hard time playing comfortably and sort of dynamically, let's say. So, like, for example, if you're playing like just like a 6/8 thing, like 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6. So how can I explain this? So it might look like I'm doing mostly this motion, back and forth, but there's contributing motions that kind of give it that groove, that little the funkiness, the way that it sounds, and those are the other motions that I'm talking about, like the forward and back and the side to side. By the way, it doesn't matter if you play right-handed or left-handed. It's pretty much the same thing, either way. Typically, right-handed people will want to play down here. So, I guess I should show how to hold it. So you want a really tight grip on, like, the neck with your left hand. Well, okay, you don't want a really tight. Sorry. you don't want a really tight grip, because you gotta be able to move it around. But you don't want it to get away from you either. So there's a healthy balance of I mean, it's okay. This is also like pretty much any other instrument in that you have to be relaxed. When you're playing it. So, you know, your shoulders relaxed, all that. And you know, you can't just use your arms. It may look like I'm just using a lot of arms to move it back and forth, but you know, like any percussion, you have to use your hands, your fingers. It's a combination of everything that kind of that puts it all together. So the tone, the left hand. So when you're not playing the tone, you can kind of hold it like this. I kind of just use my fingertips. Depends on the gourd. So, and then when you want to play the tone, it's like playing a bass tone on the conga. You put your thumb together with your forefinger to get this very the padded part beneath your thumb kind of all plumped out, and you use that sort of around. So there's actually different spots that you would want to play the gourd at. So like I actually really like the gourds like these because you really don't want it to be exactly dead center. You want it to be just off center, something like that, which is kind of convenient because you're not holding it in a way where you can play dead center anyway. So, and that just gets it, not only is it more resonant when you play it like that, generally speaking, but it also, if you hit it dead center, it's more likely to actually break the gourd. So you want to hit it just off center, something like that. And obviously the bigger the area, like someone did break this gourd, and that's why there is a piece of leather on this. So I was able to kind of successfully repair this, but as you can see, there's like a little indentation here. But this has such a wide surface area, like the place that you would want to play this is something like that right there. And for me, I just play like, if you're not used to doing this, it can be like painful to like land on the beads. But again, I guess like most things, like you shouldn't really be hitting it that hard. You shouldn't be using a lot of force. But I can see, like, having not done this for a while, like, or at all, rather, you can sort of get sore quickly, let's say. Anyway, so the left hand can also play a tone. It's possible. So you can, and you kind of, it's kind of a compromised tone, but particularly on a gourd like this that's got a big flat shoulder to it, you can just land your palm right in there. And also another thing that you can kind of do is tap with your fingers on the beads. And I do a little bit of all of that. And anyway, but for Onkos, we should talk about the music notation. So the music notation, you'll see there's one line, and there's this note heads above the line and below the line. So obviously, here, get back to this one. So obviously everything that your right hand, whenever you're playing the tone, that's with your right hand. And every time that I have all of the beads above, all of the bead tones above the line. So that could be right or left. So typically, like if you're just going back and forth, for example, it's going to be right, left, right, left, right, left. And on the line, it's just going to be up or down, up, down, up, down, up. So I would notate I'm gonna try and notate when you want to use a right hand on the line. I'll mark it in the music right hand, like with a R. And if you're left-handed, I apologize, but so that's kind of the notation, and that's really like that's all that the notation is. All of the sort of details about how you accomplish that are kind of left up to you. Okay. Obviously, I have these mic stands here. So in Onkos, this part isn't totally clear to me yet, but there might be opportunities to play where we would need to have the gourds mic'd, and so this is the way that I always record gourds. It's like this, just one microphone. Don't pay any attention to this. This is just for audio nerdiness for me. So this is the mic. So if we're going to use mics, this is how they would be set up. Something like this, because you need to be able to play your tone, and you want the tone when you're playing it to be very close to you don't want it to be too close, but you want it to be reasonably close to the dynamic microphone that we're going to be using. And the sound of the beads, you don't need to worry about as much. In fact, you almost need to intentionally de-emphasize them. It's harder to capture the tone than it is the beats, particularly in a live setting. So if you're playing something in 6/8, like 1, 2, So when you're just shaking, you don't need to worry about your sort of proximity to the mic or your direction to the mic. In fact, well, I would say actually pull away. Pull the mouth of the gourd away from the direction of the microphone. When you're playing a tone, it's like you need to fire that tone into the dynamic microphone. So that's the technique. Okay. I'll be back with some basics.